Welcome to Image and Interior Insights. I'm Christina with Aesthetics and Style, and this week we're doing part 2 of the series, What We Consider Aesthetically Pleasing or Beautiful and Why. And again, recap, that was established by the ancient Greeks that 3 components were needed in order for something to be beautiful. And this week, it's all about the second component, which is balance. And if we look at the definition of balance in the dictionary, it's an even distribution of weight, or it's a condition in which different elements are equal balance, or in the correct proportion. And that's what it's all about. It's about proportion and scale. And here again, same rules apply for both interiors or spaces and people. But we're gonna start with interiors. The first thing we gotta do when we look at proportion and scale is to establish the space we're gonna decorate, and we're gonna look at what we have. Because I see one of the biggest mistakes I see with clients is that they forget to measure. So we go in and we buy furniture and we forget to measure and we kind of wing it, but very often we take it home and it's either too big or it's way too small, and either way it's not good. Sometimes it might fit, but the scale is off, so it's still gonna look completely unbalanced in your space. So you got to start by looking at your place. How tall are your ceilings? And how big is the area that you're decorating? That's number one. Let's start right there, friends. So, talking about scale and proportion, really important when you choose your furniture. So for instance, the height of the ceilings, or the width of the room, or the openness. So for instance, if you have higher ceilings, larger room, you can go for little heavier furniture, a little more substantial furniture. If your space is smaller, ceilings lower, you want to go for lower profile furniture and smaller. Same thing with chairs. Here you have nice wide or tall backs, great for higher ceilings. Whereas shorter ceilings, you want to go for something a little lower. So all about those scale and proportions. So when it comes to personal styling, we also have to take into account our proportions and our scale. So when it comes to proportions, Leonardo da Vinci established that if we are 8 head lengths from top to bottom, we are perfectly proportioned. Then if we have perfect everything, then our body parts should fall in certain head lengths as well. Now, most of us are not perfectly proportioned. Most of the people in the world are not perfectly proportioned. But by dressing it a certain way, we can make it look more proportioned. The important thing is knowing where your proportions are off and addressing them. So how do we find out our proportions? We measure. Again, very important. We gotta measure. Now, we don't use these for personal styling. We use a little smaller measuring tape, but we measure all the way down to see kind of what is out of proportion and what is in proportion, and then we dress accordingly. Now with scale, it's also, we got to look at what we're born with. So scale has to do with our bone structure. We can be small scale, we can be medium or large scale, and we should really use accessories accordingly. So accessories, especially jewelry, belts, also bags, and shoes. So looking at jewelry, what I'm wearing right now is a little more delicate chain. It's pretty small scale. Now, if I were to put something like this on, it would be a little chunkier. This is a large scale necklace, and it kind of looks a little different. Now, of course, personal preference plays a role as well. But if I were to wear too much chunky, it would kind of weigh me down a little. Same thing with shoes. Here on this foot, I'm wearing more of a chunky shoe, large scale. And on this side, more of a small scale with a thin heel. So balance can be achieved by paying attention to your proportions and scale. And don't forget, measure, measure, measure. Next week, third installment in this 3-part series. Next week, all about harmony. Until then, stay safe. Bye-bye.